Aldridge, I think when I see St. John's today, I don't think that if I understand, I think you can go as a child in KG, and when you leave the institute, you're already an adult and ready to get married. That's the number of courses I think you all have done. It's fantastic, and how phenomenally you all have done it. My question is in two parts. One is any other courses you feel are left that you need to add, and are you planning to open an institute? Because I know that opening the institute in Palghar, because we are close by to where you are, is an excellent strategic decision, because that is, I think, the best location, and I think the institute St. John's there is probably the best, and you get a good inflow. So, do you have any plans to open a similar institute in another location?
Good question. Really good question. So, as of now, we have 37 courses and counting, and we look forward to adding a few more courses, but we do a feasibility study. We see the kind of students who are coming in the area and what is the demand of that course. If the course is not available in Palghar and there are 200 students traveling from the area to a place like Bombay to study that course, then I think it's viable in opening that course, because you should also get the right faculty to teach the course. You can open any course, but if you don't have the right faculty to drive that course, it may become a flop. That's a big risk to take. Definitely, yes. Opening satellite centers of St. John is something that we have thought about as a family. There were proposals like, hey, why don't you open an international campus? And I said, surely, let's discuss this. We want to become a university first, establish our protocols before going and starting something out of the country or even out of the district. We don't mind. There is a lot of scope. We have children who are traveling from across the country now to study with us. So we're looking at that idea, but not now, maybe in the next decade or decade and a half.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Ruben,
Yes,
I think our industries are very similar. We are in the manufacturing
manufacturing.
industry. So maybe I'm trying to take a solution out of you for a challenge I'm facing. Uh, in manufacturing, I think what's important is getting the right part at the right time, and ensuring that once you start your work, your manufacturing process, it should never stop. Right? That's the whole idea. So how do you have any strategies in place to ensure that you get this right part at the right time, and you ensure that your process once started is completed as soon as possible?
See, both of us don't manufacture mass products. We aren't doing a standard product which every every client requires. The same goes with me. The kind of textures that for curtains, for resins, for the interiors, dashboards, electrical fitments, wiring, lights. There are 800 parts which go into manufacturing one bus. Out of these, the carryover parts, means parts which are similar, may hardly be 300. The remaining 500 parts have to be unique to the other vehicle, are quite different. And I'm sure that's something very similar to you. There are some parts which are common standard parts, but the bulk of them have to be customized and made for somebody else. And this is a problem which is plagued by everyone. Forget us. Boeing has the same problem. Airbus has the exact same problem. Because you build the A320s, and then when you're building another A330 behind it or something else behind it, you have the same challenges. And this is what the entire manufacturing sector has been fighting with throughout. If you don't have steady orders for a product, the vendor is not going to stock your product and keep. It's a cost to him. If you stock it at your end, it's a cost to you. So we're always playing this balancing act, trying to gauge the market and see what is my next order going to be. For that next order, do I have the parts ready with me, or does the vendor have the parts ready with him? The most that I try to do is I try to commonize as much as possible. So if there are minor variations, we commonize the part. If I try to convince the client that that shade of blue is almost as same as this shade of blue, I have stock of that. Don't ask for this. So we do a lot of hand holding like this. We have to convince the customers, because there are some who are very specific. You say, no, that's the color which I really like, and I want it in that manner. Then there is no choice. But we normally go upfront and tell them, sir, if the more you move away from standard spec, the longer it's going to take me to deliver the goods that you want. So either you want faster delivery or you take longer delivery. The choice is yours. But if you want fast, you have to You know how Henry Ford famously said, you can have any color in the Model T as long as it's black. So, so then something similar is what we are doing. And I think that's a challenge we will have in our industry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, Vernon, I know you all are doing fantastic exports now, and especially to the United States. And with this recent uncertainties that have happened, especially with tariffs, where things are very volatile, how do you adapt to this challenge, and how do you, go about overcoming it?
So as of now, touch wood, things have been great. Basically, because as I said in the start, when Rajesh asked me what is the differentiating factor, right? I think it is about the relationship. The relationships I've created in the last 3 years or last 5 years, I was so confident that the day the tariff goes off, irrespective of whatever the price the client is buying from any part of the world, he's asked anybody to put factories or anything. The day the tariff will go off, the next day he'll call me. So that's the relation that is built, and that's the confidence we had. That is why I think stuff like this gives us strength to invest further, take on debt, and grow. And I think this is the only thing that gave us more strength.
I think that's a good answer. I mean, in whatever be the situation economically, I think finally your relations matter, and the best for last. So Rajesh, I know that you're a serial entrepreneur, a serial investor, and if my number is right, I think you're investing close to at least 30 businesses now? 22. Tell me that one deal breaker or that one deal breaking factor where either you're in the business or you're about to enter into the business, that one deal breaker which tells you, I'm out of this.
It is very clear with me that I will have 10 points put up for a transaction. If 9 match and if 1 doesn't match, I back out.
Okay.
So there is need, but there is no greed. So I have walked out of many transactions. Even if 1 point is misunderstood or intentionally misunderstood, or somebody's tried to change the term at a later point, then I quit. And I've lost a lot of money by taking such decisions of exiting, but I've exited. Because for me, what happens is, once you have been taken for a ride, or once there is fluctuation in the other person's mind, it will always be an uncomfortable relationship. So it is better to cut loss and move on with the next one, and no regrets, 0 regrets. So I'm very clear with my points and very stern with them. I don't compromise, because I know what I am, what I can bring to the table, what my money can do. So I stick to my guns, and whatever might be the transaction, however lucrative it might be on the face of it before I getting into it, that will not create a judgment in my mind. My judgment is my work, my comfort of working. If my comfort of working is disturbed even by 1%, I will not do it. I'll back out.
And you make these points clear from the beginning.
In the first meeting, I am not a 100 meetings guy. Another rule that I follow is 1 transaction, 1 meeting. So now anybody comes to meet me, I tell them in advance, do your homework and come. The yes or the no will happen then. If you stand up, the deal is off. I will मम्मी को पूछ के आता हूँ, पापा को पूछ के आता हूँ, nothing. जो पूछना पूछ के आ जाना. So I have sat in a transaction, and this has helped me. This attitude has helped me. In 2008, I was negotiating for a property in Dubai. It's called Dubai Triangle and Jumeirah Triangle. And there were 2 buildings of 49 stories each. I was underwriting 1 building. In 2008, I was underwriting 1 full building, which was more than 100 crore transaction at that point of time. 5 of my friends and me and 5 of my friends were going to do that together. We had a 6.5 hours meeting. And when I sat on the table, I told the guy that we will decide and then get up. So there was 6.5 hours. There was not even a loo break. Nobody even got up to piss. I said, "Udiya to sauda folk." Folk means not done. So the negotiation began. He started from 2,000 dirhams. I started from 1,100 dirhams. I stopped at 1,300 dirhams. He stopped at 1,500 dirhams. So there was a gap of only 200 dirhams. And my friend who was sitting with me was nudging me. I said, "Nahin, 1,300 is top. or we don't do this deal. And the deal didn't happen. 6.5 hours later, I stood up, shook my hands. I said, I will get better customer for my money and you will get better customer for your project. I wish you all the best. I got up from there, came to Bombay. As I landed, I took up a project in Bombay. There was a negotiation which was pending. From the airport, I straight went to that transaction. I concluded that transaction. So the money which was to be paid for the Jumeirah project got paid over here.
Wow.
And that plot, today's 2026, is still a plot.
Wonderful.
After 3 months, the 2008 Lehman Brothers collapse happened. We would have been the first ones to collapse if we would have taken that project. And then later on, there was nobody touching that property even for 500 dirhams. Forget about 1300 dirhams. So at times, such decisions have helped me. At times, I have lost money. How I have lost money? I commit a transaction. I get into the transaction. My speed of investment is rocket. If I decide now, tonight, disbursement will start. Deployment will start. After 15 days, I understand that he wants to have an afterthought. The one thing that I don't accept in business is an afterthought. No afterthought. Then whatever is decided is decided. So many a times people get afterthought after a couple of days. Looking at my speed, sometimes the other person starts thinking ki meri lottery lagi hai. Matlab, he has done a kacha deal. It is my lottery. So they become a little dicey. The day I come to understand that, I stop it there itself. So now I have run that journey. My money is deployed.
Right.
I have to book it and stop it. But I do that. So, Glenn, let me begin with you. If you can just introduce yourself on what is the exact type of your business in the pharma industry.
Firstly, I want to thank you very much for having me here, and it's wonderful to spend time with friends. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Glenn D'Souza, and I'm the director of Anchormark Private Limited. We manufacture pharmaceutical machinery, and our products are in the range of encapsulation, liquid, dry powder, granulation, coating, counting and filling. So we have a big range of products in the pharmaceutical machinery sector. We have a strong domestic presence, and apart from that, we are exporting to over 45 countries across 6 continents. And this, as you rightly said, I'm the second generation entrepreneur, and this company now presently is over 4.5 decades old.
Glenn, what excites you?
So for me, the industry I am in, it's a fantastic industry because we are making machines, and from the beginning, I always had the interest in machinery. And from the time I was a kid, even though I used to not go to work, we used to participate in a lot of exhibitions. Of course, I didn't get a chance to go abroad, but then whenever it was in Mumbai and coincidentally in Nesco, I used to always go as a child. And just seeing the machinery itself and what we are building and what so many others are building really excited me to a great extent. And the beauty of the industry we are in an industry that saves lives. So pharma is here to stay, and it is an excellent industry where you meet a lot of good people, and we are proud to be associated with some of the best names as a supply chain to them.
And they say that India is the pharmacy of the world.
I think
every 5th product in the world consumed in the medical segment is Indian made product.
Yeah. And just to add, India is second only to the United States in the number of US FDA approvals.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
what will it take for India to become number 1?
I think we are getting there because every day I see more and more companies are innovating, building world-class facilities. And today I see that, in fact, the world is coming to India rather than India going to the world, especially in the case of pharma, the vaccines, even pharmaceuticals, the entire industry. Because presently India is based in such a wonderful location that it can act as a supply chain to so many places, where the world, Asia, Europe, and most of the places, and good quality, cost-effective medicines. That's what matters.
Excellent. And I think more than 40% of the medicines consumed in US are produced or manufactured in India and exported to the US.
Absolutely.
That's really, these are all very proud points.
Very proud
Definitely
points.
It helps the balance of payments for the country when you export.
Yeah.
And that is what is happening currently. So Glenn, when I read about you, I realized that you and Vernon have one thing in common. Both are emotional decision makers. And there are people who think by their head. There are people who think by their heart. There are confused people who don't know how to think and where to think from, heart or head. heart or head. So you are very clear that you and him both are emotional decision makers. Does it? Yeah. That's why I didn't allow you all to reach each other's information. Does it come in your way to help you, or does it come in your way at times where it disturbs work? How would you rate it?
See, honestly, if you ask me about decisions and leadership, I think it is very, very situational, because you need to see whom you're meeting, whom you're talking to, and then you need to sort of adopt a leadership style to go with them. When it comes to decision making, the emotion comes in because when you're working with people, you have to have empathy. You have to know where the other person is standing. The moment, see where you are standing from, yes, you're at a certain position, etc. But you need to understand how other people think. You need to understand what drives them, and that can best be done through empathy. And empathy can best be achieved when you are a bit, in that emotional this thing. And I think, there's this wonderful book called Blink,
Okay.
which I mean, if I remember some of the things correctly, what they say is that the majority of the decisions that sometimes you take at the blink of an eye, and the decision that you may end up taking, after a lot of thoughtful analysis, more or less turn out to be the same thing. As long as you listen to your gut feeling and you decide that yes, you want to do that, and you take, sometimes the best decisions are the quickest decisions. You take the decision fast and then you follow through on it, and that's how it works. And I think the emotional way of doing it is the best way in that.
Absolutely well said. So there are a lot of businesses, not that other people are not empathetic or not emotional, but since you mentioned it in your information, I was very curious to ask you this, because a lot of entrepreneurs in this country have created examples like the Tata family. JRD Tata first built the residence quarters for the workers and then built the factory. So just imagine, he has absorbed the gestation period cost to himself, but that is what Tata is Tata today. And majority of their profits go to the Tata Trust, and
Correct.
Tata Trust is a majority stakeholder in the Tata group of companies. So that's nothing but emotional thinking and doing it for the larger good.
Very true.
So excellent. That's
And just to add to that point, since you mentioned Tatas, many of their decisions came on these bases. Like when Taj was built, it was because of the whole this he was not allowed to enter Titan, is because the Swiss told them, that we don't have faith in your, we don't think Indian manufacturer will be able to. These are the emotions that drove them to say that, we can do it, and then they did it. That's the whole idea.
sometimes hurting the ego is the biggest motivation to achieve something in life.
Yeah,
If
very
not for
true.
that,
I
we wouldn't
completely
have
agree
been
with
having
that. I
an
completely
Indian
agree
freedom
with that.
today. So a lot of historical stories really boost up our morale and the way we need to do business in life.
Definitely, I agree.
So all of you come from a very comfortable background, because by the time you were born, your parents had already built their empires.
Very
and
true, yeah.
they were on their own sustainable model. So how do you take that as a facility? In the sense, like a lot of people say that they become robust because they faced hardships. Now, for the comfortable background that you come from, and knowing your dad and your mom, the way they handle you, like every other parent, do you miss the hardships? Do you think you would have been a better entrepreneur if you would have faced some hardships? Or do you feel this was good enough to become a great entrepreneur?
See, I think that, in fact, when I think about all the times, they tell me about the hardship, like they are telling me, I'm imagining it, but I think realistically, it would have been at least 100 times harder what they had to face. I don't know. I frankly think if I would have been in that hardship, I don't think I would have ever come up the way they did, because some of these stories we hear. I mean, for us, it is stories. For them, it was reality. But I think a second generation entrepreneur comes with his or her own challenges. Like you said, a comfortable life, that itself is a challenge, because when you come with some degree of comfort, like somebody like you, who's been through that hardship, you don't go through that hardship at all. And when you enter the business, of course, it's not like somebody is trying to put a bad eye or something, but it's like they're waiting for people, second generation entrepreneurs, to fail, because they say, अरे बाप ने इतना बड़ा काम किया, और बेटे ने ऐसे या बेटी ने ऐसे किया. So the big challenge that you have is you be grateful for that comfort. That's the first thing I think you need to do when you enter the business.
So you begin with gratitude.
You begin with gratitude. You be happy that yes, you got this, and you have to use this not as a way to be flamboyant or try to be this. But ideally, it is better to be simple about it, to be grateful about it, and use that as a kickboard to go higher. That's the whole idea.
So the saying is wrong. मतलब जिसको स्वर्ग देखना है उसका खुद का मरना जरूरी है. बाजू वाला मरेगा तो स्वर्ग भी वही देखेगा. So that saying is wrong for business, right?
Yeah, for business.
So
I think it is wrong.
even without doing that, you can be a part of heaven.
You can.
Because what happens is there are parents who make it sure that even in spite of having a comfortable background, they actually want you to go through rough fire. They push you in the front all the time so that you can build. At times we get very irritated कि यार मेरे से हर काम क्यों करवा रहा है. But in the process, you're actually learning what he has learned long many years back.
No, and I completely agree with what Reuben says. If you have to, especially in a family-oriented business, if you have to learn, if you have to grow, you have to start from that scratch. You have to go through that fire. If you directly try, and anyway, I don't think in any well-oriented family business, you're ever going to be in a situation where your father or mother is going to say, come, just sit next to me and start working. No. In case, just to give an example of even my father, he never forced me into the business. He said it is completely your decision. But he said one thing. He said once you enter, then there are some rules. Then there is some discipline. There is something you need to follow. You need to follow timings. You need to be disciplined. And you need to be aware of your responsibility completely. So that Agni Pariksha is a must.
And I'm sure it's a daily process.
It is a daily process.
Knowing your dad, I know it's a daily process.
Even till today, it's a daily process. You have to go through the grind. You have to go through the root of the problem. There are many a times, where we have good people and we think, that yes, we can delegate, etc. But sometimes, many a things he tells me, he says, go there and see why it is happening. Then you actually get a clear idea of what to do so that the next time the incident occurs, you're in a better position to take that decision. I think the best example I think most of our parents have given us is learn by doing. I think that is what we believe in.
Lead by example.
Lead by example and learn by doing. Yes.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So Glenn, in 2008, you set up the supply chain management.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah.
2008,
the first
supply chain management. So how difficult or how easy was it to get out from a manual system to something which is technology supported or technology based? What exactly happened in 2008 in the organization when you tried to implement this? And you were the guy who implemented it, not your dad, right?
No.
He would have been a support system, but you're the guy.
Yeah.
So
correct.
what happened at that time?
So at that particular point of time, I think we were at a point where our products were extremely good. We had a very strong goodwill in the market. And I think that is the best base on which you can actually enter and start something. If the goodwill in your market is strong, you can always encash on it, and as long as you keep it up, you can always sell. That's the whole point. But the one thing we lacked is that we didn't have a good system flow for it, because a majority of the people who work with us have been, even now, there are so many of our people who work for so many years with us, and even at that time, because they worked with us, there was a lot of loyalty. But there was one, I won't say a disadvantage, but more like a problem was that they were very averse to following systems. They were very used to a certain manual process, the way they followed it. And for me, coming from an engineering background, when I entered, the first thing I was very clear, I'm even clear today, that's how I always, keep my work, is that everything has to be system oriented. It can never be person oriented. As long as you have a robust system in place, you can always bring in people to drive it.
So this is the initiative that you got implemented since 2008.
2008, yeah. In fact, we first started with a very simple system. It was, and I know we decided let us take it slow. So we went for something as simple as inventory control or just simple purchase orders, etc. But everything activated and gone through a system. And as we kept growing, we implemented, I think, our first ERP about, I think, 13 or 14 years back. That was the first time we implemented the ERP. And initially, we just took it on to manufacturing. We didn't enter finance. And one day, and that is one day, my father, he decided, he said, even finance should be integrated. We have to integrate it anyhow. And we tried it with that system. Unfortunately, it failed. But at that particular point of time, we thought maybe we should go back. And he said, nothing doing. He said, once we've taken this decision, integrated finance is a must. We must proceed with it. And I remember that was, I think, January. And we realized that this software
just
is not
three months before the financial year ends.
financial year ends.
So you
And we
implemented
were,
SAP.
yeah, and we were pushed into a corner, and we were wondering what should we do now, go back or no? And he said no, we have to move forward.
So that's when you implemented
And
SAP.
that's when we implemented SAP, and we knew that we had 3 months to implement it.
Still
And
you went ahead.
we went ahead and successfully implemented SAP with integrated finance in a matter of 3 months. I think that was by far one of the biggest achievements we had, and it is I would never credit to myself. It's the entire team. They have really worked on it. They went forward. Many people will be resistant, but they said no, we'll go ahead with this, and we did it in a matter of 3 months. And today I realize, when we are completely on SAP, do we realize the importance of that system? Because everything goes so robustly, so smoothly, including finance.
And it
that
is
today-
shared information.
it is
Everybody is
shared info.
updated.
Everybody can see it. Everybody can be trained on it. And we are not dependent on any external financial experts. Today, everything the system gives us, and it is ready.
Absolutely. Fantastic. What were the thoughts that ran through your mind that if this also fails, then what was your backup plan? How you would have brought the situation under control?
Honestly, there was no backup plan at that time. It was very clear. We have to do this, and we have to move forward. So like I said earlier, it was a situation where we were actually pushed into a corner. And that's now, when I realize in hindsight, I think some of the best decisions you make are when you're pushed into that corner. Because when we actually started and took a decision to do it, we never thought about failure at all at that particular point in time. We were very clear it is going to happen, and we will do it anyhow. And like I said, fortunately for me, see, these decisions can be taken at one time, but execution is very, very difficult. And there you need the support of each and every person working with you. And this SAP is a system where you cannot leave anyone out. Every single person, right from sales to accounts to finance to marketing through into inventory, production planning, everybody is involved. So this was a situation where the entire organization actually came together and took the decision of working extra hours. We definitely made a plan. It was not something where we just jumped in. We took a calculation. We backtracked that if we have to go live on 1st of April, what are the different milestones and targets we need to achieve initially? Like we have to complete 1, 2, 3 here, there, and so on. And we made sure that we kept this particular thing in mind anytime we were working. So these milestones helped us greatly, because every time we knew that we are doing it, we knew that we are going to implement it. So as long as I think you're focused, you're clear in these particular situations that you have to do it, you will do it. And fortunately, we did.
So there was no plan B.
In this situation, absolutely no.
So
there was no plan B.
There is a small story that I would like to share here. So there was a big island and there was a small island. For 350 years, the small island wanted to capture the big island, but they always failed. Then came a general whose name was Glenn. He took the boats, took his navy, went on to the big island, and the first thing that he did was he burned the boats. And he said, either we win or we die. There is no coming back. And that attempt with no plan B was the time that the small island captured the big island. So these are all some fantastic experiences that you hear, where when we implement it in real-time business, it really works.
Yeah.
Excellent. Glenn, what's your leadership style?
I think for me, leadership style, I prefer to be very adaptive. And like I was saying earlier, I believe in this concept of situational leadership, because I was listening to what Aldridge was saying earlier about the point of delegation. It's very important to study who you are going to delegate this work to. Now, for example, if there is a high motivation, high performing individual, you can't micromanage that individual. It will automatically demotivate him to run out. There, you need to give him a free hand. You need to delegate him. And I'll also add to what Reuben said, even if there is a case, where they feel whether they should go ahead or not, just a simple, hand on the shoulder, like, tu kar, main hu piche. It really goes a long way, where they feel confident and they take that chance. Similarly, for a person, who is extremely knowledgeable, but having, relatively low confidence, there I think coaching, training, motivating plays a very big role.
So Glenn, we have discussed about leadership, about leading other people. But as entrepreneurs and as business leaders, how do you lead yourself? what is it that you do to make yourself a better leader every single day? Because that's also mandatory. The organization's growth depends on the leadership that you develop in yourself. So how do you do that? This is a question to every one of you, not only to Glenn.
Firstly, I see a lot of YouTube videos, that you put out to understand that. I think the best way to become a better leader is to learn from better leaders. I mean, content, reading, going through some good content, reading some good stories about some leaders, of how they came up. That is the best way with which you can become a better person. And the final way, I think, is putting yourself in that situation. Sometimes you become a leader automatically when you actually put yourself in that line of fire. Then it really shows you what you're made of. And when you come out, then you realize, that these are the certain things you may need to do. Maybe you may not be successful at that point of time, but the next time a situation like that happens, you learn from that previous experience and you come here. And fortunately, today content is out there. There is so much information that you have. You can just go anywhere. Even when you're stuck up in like you said, when you're stuck up in a situation, you can just Google it somewhere, or you can just ask a question.
You got ChatGPT.
You got so many ways that they can tell you experiences of the world of people who are in a similar situation and what they did to come out of it. So you have it ready and you can just utilize.
So Glenn, we sometimes become very complacent with the situation. And sometimes that complacency might damage us or create a loss. Like for example, you would have been lethargic for a demonstration to a new client, or you were overconfident कि मुझे तो मिलना ही वाला है, and suddenly you have lost that order or that contract. So how did it make you feel, and what was the course correction that you did? Because this has happened with you.
In fact, I was to say that it happened with me.
Yeah.
This complacency cost me, and it cost me a big thing. But see that the situation there was that we had a customer who has been with us from day one, and it's a very, very large pharmaceutical company, and they bought, in fact, the first time they started business, they bought the first machine from us. So we've had that relation from day one. So it was always taken for granted, and there was a saying in the industry, that the quotations will be taken from multiple people, but the order will be given to Anchor Mark. It was always that way. And for some reason, I took that internally, saying that this customer is ours, this company is ours. So we had a situation where they wanted to take trials on a new machine that they wanted to buy from us. And they send their team, generally they don't, they send their team specifically for this. And I realized later that this product was very critical. So they wanted to make sure that the machine worked in that particular style. When they came, I was there myself. And for some reason, that whole feeling that, yes, this is our customer, we'll show them the machine, we'll explain, was already there in my mind. And we demonstrated the machine. Unfortunately, we were not prepared. The machine didn't run as performed. And what I kept saying was that, oh, this is a small thing, we'll take care of. Oh, this is a small thing, we'll take care of it. Not to
And you lost the order.
Yeah. And what I realized later is that they gave a negative report for that machine, and we lost that order.
Who's
And
the
it
company?
was-
Which is the company?
The company was MGO Pharmaceuticals.
Acha.
Yeah.
So how did you course correct your relationship with them?
We made sure that the next time we took it as a situation where the machine
Where
has
is that
to
girl
work
now?
anyhow. It
Shark
is.
Tank, right?
I think it is a great, learning where you realize that you can never take any relationship in the industry for granted. Finally, you may know anybody you want to know, but your product has to work. If
It
your
has to perform.
It has to perform.
There is no
If
second
your
chance.
product does not perform, it doesn't give the result.
But
your
they
relations
continued.
are
But they
okay.
continued the business with
They
you.
did because we lost that order. But the next time the inquiry came, we made sure that we were well prepared. We
This
gave,
time with oil in your eyes,
Yeah,
huh?
this time with complete preparedness. I made sure that I stood there myself, made sure that everything was in place. And when they came, they saw it, they were satisfied, and things went well, smoothly.
I'm so happy, to being part of this.
Rajesh is a natural host, and we had an amazing conversation. Thanks to Rajesh, thank you to the entire team.
Which is not a formal podcast, but it's a chance for every one of us to connect with each other.
This is Agnello Rajesh, and I would like to invite you, if you want to become a part of the Table Talks at Sante, please go online and write to us. Let us know your profile, and I'm sure most of you will be chosen
to be a part of the Table Talks at Sante. Thank you so much.
Who asked? You? You asked me if this is honestly healthy? Come on, yeah. Whole wheat spaghetti in pesto sauce. And this is my pick for this festive season. Try it. Honestly healthy. And I'm honest.
I work with and for Konark Cancer Foundation. It's a foundation which takes care of cancer patients. If you know anyone suffering with cancer, then we at Konark Cancer Foundation can connect the person with the right resources and facilities to ensure that the right time, right treatment reaches the patient. Whether it is connecting the resources or providing resources to the cancer patient, we do it all. It also includes support for accommodation in the city of Mumbai. We are associated and connected and networked with the right resources, the right doctors, and the right hospitals. We can bring all of this on a table to you so that it is convenience for you. Whether it is guidance, whether it is medical support, or whether it is operating procedures, our team facilitates every activity required for the patient and the support required for the family. We also connect you to the right NGOs and donors to ensure that you also get financial support and aid to whatever extent possible to ensure that the treatment happens and the life is saved. If you know of anyone who is suffering with cancer, please connect with us. The details are mentioned in the content below. Konark Cancer Foundation is an NGO. It's a not-for-profit organization, and we have lots of volunteers which support this good deed. So get in touch with us and help us to save lives. You too can be a part of this movement. Konark Cancer Foundation. Thank you so much.